Good afternoon, Yelm students. We are excited to host the Professionals by Pathway Career Exploration event to help students connect their learning to career opportunities. I am Mrs. Nash, and I am excited to welcome and speak with Sarah Bunch today as our guest.
Hi.
Before we get started, I want to remind everyone this is being recorded so future students can benefit from our speakers. We have the next 30 minutes to learn about this career field, the education that is needed to enter and grow within the industry, and what advice our speaker has for our students. We will be monitoring any questions that students submit. Let's get started so our students can learn about various professions and how they prepare for their future. Sarah, tell us about your career field and how to get started.
Awesome. Thanks, Mrs. Nash. As Mrs. Nash mentioned, my name is Sarah Bunch. I am actually a channel marketing manager for an ag tech company. And so I'm going to talk to you guys today about the field of ag tech marketing and my career path to this point. So with that, I just wanted to introduce myself. When I went to Yelm High School, my name was Sarah Neuharth. I was in the Yelm FFA program. Today, like I mentioned, I'm in channel marketing at Granular Ag. Granular is an independent subsidiary of Corteva Agrisciences, and Corteva is the largest US-owned agriscience company. And so we are the software division for Corteva. I currently live in Des Moines, Iowa. I moved to Iowa after I graduated from college. And it is a balmy 5 degrees and snowing right now. So if you guys have any warmth at all, please send it my way. As I mentioned, I graduated from Chico State, California State University, Chico in 2012. And I'll share a little bit about my career journey from that point forward. So I wanted to kind of start off by showing what Granular does and what our software does and how we help farmers. So I have a quick video to share with you guys.
Been more complex. The stakes have never been higher. Every day, farmers make decisions that impact yield, profitability, and growth. How do you make the right decisions? It starts with what you know. Know how to make your employees happier, your crops healthier, and your business more profitable. Know you're making the right decisions so you can spend more time with your family. Know more with Granular.
Whoops. All right. So, whoops. Oh, you guys don't want to see my email. I don't want to see my email. So that's a little bit about what Granular does. So as that video mentioned, we have, sorry, let me just, there we go. So as that video mentioned, we have a portfolio of software that helps farmers with their profitability analysis, finding out what crops they should grow to be able to make more money on their operations, work orders, and employee management, and then we also have agronomic software. So we have an entire portfolio, and it's really awesome because we're kind of at that intersection of being a software company and also being an agriculture company and serving farmers. So I also wanted to give you guys a quick sneak peek of what it's like to work at an ag software company. One of my coworkers actually made this video of a quick office tour of what it looks like to work at an ag software company. So we'll run through this one real quick too. So this is our office area, our main lounge. We do have a live wall with actual plants. And then as you walk through the building, this is where our software engineers sit. We have a really nice wide open office space. There's no private offices, which makes it really nice to work with people and collaborate. This area right here is our quiet library area. So if you need to do heads down work or focused work, you can do that there. This part is where our marketing team, our customer support and customer success people work. This area here is our kitchen, and we do have a little balcony area. What's really nice, and I think a lot of software companies offer this, is free food or a fully stocked kitchen with lots of snacks. We also get catered lunches. So it's just really nice to have a spot to eat lunch with your coworkers and kind of network. This area here is called our all hands area. And this is where we have our company-wide meetings where everybody can join together and meet as a big team. This here is our game room. It's a really nice spot to blow off some steam, or if you're, kind of hitting a wall with a project, kind of just let your brain rest and maybe let the answer come to you while you're playing some ping pong. So this is our office, and that's a little bit about what it's like to work for Granular. So with that, let's head back into the presentation. Whoops. All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I do in channel marketing. So a lot of companies, when they talk about their marketing programs, they usually break it up into two different types of marketing. So usually a company can either market directly to customers, which they usually call B2C, business to customer, business to consumer. And they also have the ability to market through distribution partners or sell through distribution partners, which they call channels. And that's called B2B or business to business selling or marketing. So I focus on that B2B piece where I work through distribution partners to sell our software product. And the easiest way to relate that to the real world is how I like to think of it is through cars. So for example, you could buy a Chevy vehicle, but you're probably not going to buy it. Well, you're definitely not going to buy it through Chevy corporate. So the corporate office will partner with individual and independent dealers or distributors, somewhat like Beto, Chevrolet, and McKenna, where they will get the vehicles and then the consumer will buy the vehicle from the dealer. So if you're going to go buy a car, you're not going to buy it from Chevrolet corporate, but you will probably buy it from your local dealer. So that's an easy way to think of a distribution channel. So if we were using this example, my job would focus on this middleman or this dealer, this independent distributor. So that's who I am actually marketing and selling to. So what my job looks like and what my target audience is the Pioneer seed agents that work under the Corteva brand. So I am doing channel marketing and enablement for these individuals so that they're aware of our software products, they use our software products, they value them, and then they recommend them to their customers, which are the farmers. And the ultimate goal is to have farmers connect with our software, have them value the software, and then expand their use of the software so that they're either buying more of the software or using more of it on their farms. So again, my focus in channel marketing is on this side of the circle with the Pioneer seed agent. So a little bit about what I do on a day-to-day basis. A lot of it kind of revolves around different types of project management. So basically keeping our marketing campaigns on track. I also do business cases and ROI. I can't even begin to stress how important statistics is. And that is coming from somebody who really hated math. So, if this is something that you're interested in, analytics and statistics are really, really important, so that we can basically prove and model out the success of our campaigns and the money that we're spending on marketing and sales activities to make sure that we're not spending more than what we're making to bring in new customers. Another thing I do in my role is I manage our agency partners. So we do contract out some of the work that we do with different marketing and advertising agencies. So, I basically work with them really closely to make sure they have what they need to accomplish the work that we've contracted them to do. And then in a similar vein, I also take care of our stakeholder management. So the internal teams that need updates or that are contributing to the projects. I'm, making sure that they are in the loop and that they have provided what they need to contribute to a project. So kind of keeping everybody either external or internal kind of in the loop on what the project statuses are. And then another thing that I do a lot of is content strategy. So basically the videos that I've shared with you, or social media or white papers, case studies, anything that we could create content wise, we need to be really strategic about how we're using it. And so, coming up with a plan to say, this is the content we have and this is how we can use it to increase awareness and gain more customers. That's a piece of what I do as well. So what that actually looks like in real life is some of the stuff that I do is promotions, for example. This particular example is a promotion that we're running right now to give $1,000 off a new software purchase. I also do email marketing. So this is an example of an email that is sent out. I also do sales enablement. So once we have a marketing program in place, then I'm working with our sales team to make sure that they have what they need to basically answer the phone when a prospective customer calls in and says, hey, I want to buy some software. So they need to know the messaging, they need to know how the product works, they need to know how to do a software demo. And then they basically have a playbook of things that they're going to do to nurture that customer through the sales funnel, from basically the time that they find out about the product at the top of the funnel, all the way through to when they decide to actually make a purchase at the bottom of the funnel. So I kind of help the sales team be enabled to take a customer through that journey. Another thing that I work on is radio and TV advertising. So I'll show you this quick 30-second spot of a TV ad that we recently made.
Granular really brought stuff together to make it more available for a grower, for them to actually see something that everybody can understand.
When we partner with somebody like Rob, it's not just a one and done. We work with him throughout the growing season. Once the harvest is complete, we'll sit down, analyze all his data, put it through our granular system, and we'll come up with the right hybrids.
It's not just software, it's a network of people like myself that can help growers with those tools.
The power of Pioneer and Granular together really makes for a win-win for a farmer.
That's a quick example of one of the TV spots that we did. So that TV spot actually was played during sporting events, virtual sporting events this year. They kind of live streamed. I'm sure you guys did this too, where you live streamed the high school sporting events, and different seed agencies were able to buy spots to support the local high school teams with their live streamed sporting events because of COVID. And so that was a spot that we created for that particular example, which is kind of a cool connection to this discussion. So another thing that I work on is print and out-of-home advertising, OOH. So on the left, you have an example of a printed flyer that was mailed out to customers. And on the right is an example of a billboard that we created. And so OOH, or out of home, basically means any printed advertising that you see outside of your home. So sometimes that's the little posters that you see on bus benches, but in this case, it's billboards. And this example on the right is a billboard that you would see, maybe off the side of the interstate or off the side of the highway in a field in the Midwest. And then finally, another thing that I work on is co-op marketing. So I mentioned at the beginning, I worked with distributors. So in addition to making all of the different marketing assets that I just showed you, a big piece of what I do is enabling those partners, those distribution partners, to create a marketing strategy of their own for their own small business, while using me and my team and our granular marketing assets in a way that helps them grow their business, since they are basically the local granular expert in their area. So a big piece of what I do is just supporting them and helping them market their small business. So, you know, that's pretty much what I do day in and day out. And I really do love my job. And the reason I love what I do and would recommend ag tech or ag tech marketing as a career path is, number one, it's a perfect blend of technology and agriculture. So I get the perks of working for a software company with, you know, being able to combine my passion for agriculture. The company I work for is really uniquely positioned to make a positive global impact by helping farmers use software to be more sustainable on their farms. And that's really important to me personally. You know, I think that farmers and agriculture have the ability to make a positive impact on our climate and kind of help address some of these concerns that we have. And so, you know, this is really fulfilling work for me to know that I'm making a difference in that way. Additionally, you know, because we are a software company, it is a fun and fast-paced work environment. So there's never a boring day. You never run out of work to do, but the team is really passionate and enjoys what they're doing. So it's just a really fun work environment. And then I might be biased, but I think we have the best customers and team because, you know, I get to work with farmers that, you know, care about their communities, care about their families, care about their farms. And then, you know, the people I get to work with either farm themselves or, you know, maybe don't have an ag background, but care a lot about agriculture. And so, you know, they care about their work, and that, you know, that just makes it a really great team to be with. So I've shared a little bit about what I do every day, but I also kind of wanted to share with you how I got there. So I wanted to kind of share my career path and what I did to get to where I am today. And I want to start by saying, you know, I picked this timeline up in 2011. This really made me feel old. I guess you'd be what I call or what's called an elder millennial. Like, I remember landlines, my side part and my skinny jeans are on point. But before 2011, I was working in high school, so probably 2006. I worked at McDonald's in Yelm in town. I also worked for a summer at Lattin's Country Cider Mill in college. I came home my freshman year and worked at Lattin's on Rich Road, kind of outside Tumwater. So that was kind of the beginning of my agricultural career. And then throughout college, I worked as a farm foreman for an organic farm in Gridley, California, which is like 20 minutes outside of Chico. And then I pick up my, you know, kind of direct path with my PR internship with Pioneer Hybrid. And that, you know, in 2011 was making $14 an hour. From there, I graduated from California State University, Chico. My degree was in crop science, and my GPA was 3.8. And I don't mention my GPA really to brag or anything, but just as a heads up that I wasn't aware of, that when you graduate, especially if you go into a like college to career program, kind of like I did, your GPA is something that they'll either ask you about or you'll have on your application. So, you know, it does show that you're able to kind of balance college, you know, your college coursework, if you're working, your social life, you know, keeping your GPA up and knowing and showing that you can prioritize that while also balancing all of the other things that you have going on. And just knowing that, you know, in your first job out of college, it might be something that they ask you about. So just as an FYI. Right after I graduated from college, I had a job back at Pioneer in the Emerging Leader program. So again, that's a college to career program that was kind of rotational. And my starting salary was $40,000 a year. From there, I was promoted to an agronomy education consultant, starting at $55,000. and had merit increases throughout my 3-year span. In early 2016, I was actually laid off from Pioneer. And so pretty quickly, my full-time job became finding another full-time job. And luckily, I was able to find a position really quickly and actually overlapped my new job with my severance from Pioneer. So I was in a really good spot. And I became a technical trainer for a software company called Business Solver with a salary of $70,000 that I negotiated for. I kept that job and again had annual merit increases until I decided to leave and go back into agriculture for a customer education specialist role at Granular, where I was negotiated an $80,000 salary. From there, in late 2018 or early 2019, I was promoted to the channel marketing role that I'm in now, and I make about $90,000 a year now. So I mentioned the salary because I think it's really important for people to understand how to negotiate salaries and kind of, you know, it's sometimes taboo to talk about salary when you're at work. I feel like it's really important to be empowered and to have that knowledge so that you know what your range should be and how valuable you are. So another thing I wanted to talk about is just what all is included in your total compensation, because I think this is something too that as students you don't really think about. Like, you think about the money that you're making per hour or the money that you're making per year, but there's a lot more that goes into your total compensation. And I think about it in 4 different ways. Number one being wealth, obviously. So at my current role, we do have competitive salaries. We're also eligible for annual merit increases, annual bonus incentives, and a 401k match. And I think this is pretty standard for a lot of companies, and especially software companies. I also mentioned health as a big part of your total compensation. Medical, dental, and vision is included in my current employer, and also infertility. And I mention that because when you get to be my age, and as a woman, it's really important that this is covered, because infertility is really expensive. So this is a great benefit if your employer does offer it. We also offer parental leave for both mom and dad for biological birth or adoption. So that's really cool. And then our company really has a strong value on work-life balance. So having flexible hours, and I know everybody's working remotely right now anyway, or not you, Mrs. Nash, but you know, a lot of companies are doing remote work. So you know, I'm working remotely right now, but in the future, when I do go back to the office, just having that ability to work from home when I need to is nice to have that flexibility. A third component is happiness. So wealth, health, happiness. This is kind of where all of the cool perks that software companies are known for kind of come into play. My company specifically has unlimited PTO, which is nice. We also have something called the Wednesday afternoon recharge, which is basically on Wednesday afternoons, my company doesn't have meetings. We try not to hold meetings. And you can either use that time to focus on a work project that you haven't had a chance to work on, or use it for personal time, like, and take the afternoon off. We started doing that when all of the COVID stuff started, and it's been kind of nice to just like be able to unplug for a little bit and recharge halfway through the week. As you saw in the little tour video that I showed you, we do also have fully stocked kitchens, which are nice. Free catered lunches once a week. Our offices are dog friendly, so we can bring our dogs in. I feel bad for cat people. We also have volunteer paid time off. So if you want to give back to the community during the workday, you can take time off, and it's great to have that ability. And also in the same vein of, you know, helping out in the community, our company also matches our charitable donations. So you can double your impact. And then the final component that I think about when I think about total compensation is growth, and what your company is investing in you to grow in your career. And so for me, what that looks like is the ability to have upward mobility. So being able to be promoted. I put informal in parentheses because at the company I'm currently at, we don't have a formal education reimbursement program, but I have had that in the past. But basically what that means is if you want to get your master's degree or, do a grad program, your company will pay for it or reimburse you if you get good grades. So another reason why your GPA is important. So the company that I work for now doesn't have a formal program like that. I wish they did, but what we can do now in my current company is, just have a conversation with my boss to say, hey, I'm interested in this program, and then work with HR to figure out like what they will, if they'll match it, if they'll kick in or cover or reimburse. But if you can find a company that does have a formal program, I highly recommend that you take advantage of it, because a master's degree can be tens of thousands of dollars after you've already, probably taken out student loans for your undergrad. Another thing that my company does offer is professional association memberships. So, I'm in the National Agri-Marketing Association. They've paid my annual dues to that organization to be involved in that group. They send me to industry conferences where, it's a great networking opportunity and also a great educational opportunity just to find out what's going on in the industry. I'll be honest, those haven't happened a ton this last year, but I think that they'll start to come back in the near future. And then mentorship, whether it's a formal mentorship program or just, a culture of mentorship and being willing to help people is really important too. So I have mentors within my organization now, but I also have mentors outside of my organization that I've just had for, years that I keep in touch with, and that are a really great resource to help me, kind of figure out if I have a problem or if I need advice on something, knowing that I can call someone and get their opinion. So that's how I think of total compensation. And so when I say throughout my career path, I've negotiated for things, that's super, super important. I think, especially as a woman, to feel empowered to negotiate for, what you are worth and what your value is. So this is, I think, when you think about what your total comp is and when you're negotiating, these are all the different things that you should be looking at. Because I will tell you, like, this health piece, medical, dental, and vision insurance is super, super expensive. And if your employer has a good plan, that it makes a huge difference. So I think of that as part of my salary too. So with that, I wanted to share just a couple parting thoughts, some pieces of advice that I've learned throughout the years, and then we can open it up for some questions. So my first piece of advice is pretty obvious, considering I went from Washington to California to Iowa. Don't be afraid to relocate. And this C.S. Lewis quote, "There are far better things ahead than any we leave behind," is actually engraved in my college class ring, because I was trying to psych myself up for moving to the Midwest where I didn't know anybody, didn't have any family, and I was just gonna break out on my own and figure out how it went. So I'm really glad I did it. I've been here about going on 10 years. I love it. I met my now husband here. So there's a lot of great things that happen when you kind of take the jump and are willing to move away from home. My next piece of advice, and I've kind of touched on this throughout, is always negotiate your total compensation in a job offer. It feels super weird. It's super awkward to talk about, but I will tell you that your employer will expect you to negotiate, first of all, and that you can negotiate on things like salary, vacation, a signing bonus. There's all sorts of things that you can negotiate on depending on what's important for you, and just feel empowered to do so. And my biggest piece of advice there is to do your research, know how much people are making in that area, in that company, with your skill level, and know your value so that you can make an informed request. My next piece of advice is that you are your own best advocate. It costs your employer on average about 3 times your salary to replace you. So if you're not happy in your current position, it's really important to let your boss know, and try to seek out a way to improve your current role or improve your current position. And if that's not working, then maybe it's time to look for a new job. But either way, you need to be your own best advocate, because you're the one that is ultimately living that life and doing that job. And then my final piece of advice is to seek new opportunities for growth every 2 to 3 years, whether that's getting new responsibilities in your current role or branching out into different projects, whether that's a promotion at your current job or finding a completely new job. It's really important not to let yourself stagnate and to keep pushing yourself and keep growing your career every 2 to 3 years. So with that, I wanted to thank you guys for your time and for inviting me to participate. Thanks for bearing with me with the technical difficulties, of course, even though I practiced. And then if you want to keep in touch or have questions or want advice, I'm happy to be a resource for you. And my contact information is on my website, sarahjanebunch.com.
Well, thank you. We do have one question in there from Amber. It says, how do you figure out the different layouts for different types of advertisements? Do you do it by yourself or do you work with others as a team?
So in my current role, it's really, really collaborative. And that's part of what I said. I have the best team. We do a lot of the work together. And so while I will put together a draft or I'll put together a business case and maybe lay stuff out on my own, I bring it back to the team, present it to the team. And then so every Wednesday morning, we actually have a team meeting where we do our business cases and do our project updates, and it gives the entire marketing team, which is by 25 to 30 people, a chance to kind of weigh in and give advice on how to do something or how to do something. So it's a little of both, but my team in particular is really, really collaborative.
And then we had one more. What is your favorite and least favorite part of your job?
You guys, I'll pop up first. But I basically do live in email because, we're all kind of working on our own. So, it's just a matter of the written community.
Oh, I think we lost Sarah. Well, thank you, Sarah, for taking the time.
She popped back in.
Oh, she did. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I got kicked out and then I came right back in. So I can finish that question. Here was probably some of that, email kind of tracking things down. But my favorite part of my job is the fun new stuff that I get to do. Like we are doing a campaign right now where we sent out free hat and gloves to customers. And so we're testing different strategies to see what worked better. And so, we came up with this experiment. We got to test it. We got to make some cool swag to give away. Like that was really fun. And it was kind of the analytical part of the job, the ROI and the statistics and like, how is this working? And is this strategy worth it? Combined with like the fun part of like, oh, let's make a new hat. Like, let's make some hat and gloves and let's work with a vendor to, make artwork and, all that stuff. So it's, it's the 50-50 split of using the left side of the brain with the right side of the brain is probably my favorite part.
And one last question said that, are there any projects that you ever do on your own?
Like I said, my team is pretty collaborative. So working in a silo completely by myself does not happen very often, which is good because I personally don't enjoy working that way. I will say that there are projects that I lead and drive pretty much on my own and only bring in people as needed. So that co-op marketing stuff that I mentioned is an example of that, where I have a business leader that, kind of has sponsored the project. I'm driving the project and I own the vendor relationship. And I kind of do all of that stuff on my own, but I know that if I run into anything or if I have questions, I have my entire team that I can work with to problem solve or figure out.
Great. Well, I think we answered all of the questions that we had submitted, and I looked through my list of questions, and I think you mostly went through most of those too. So thank you so much for taking the time to share your career with us today. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. And like I said, if you guys have questions or want to reach out, I'm happy to do so. I'm a former Yelm High School grad, so happy to help out however I can.